Hi, I'm Kim. I am from Westchester, Pennsylvania. I was a part of the Garnet Valley High School color guard program. I moved on to march with the Raiders Drumming Bugle Corps for a few years while I was in high school as well. Once I left high school, I went to the Westchester University College Marching Band program for about 3 years. And during that time, I marched AMP World 2018, the Halton Caballeros the summer of 2019, and I marched AMP Open 2020. And now we're going to go inside the shot with Chris Marr.
Hi, everybody. It's Chris Marr. I'm so excited to have Kim Bonfiglio here with me. We're going to be looking at her some of her photos from her years in color guard. I got to know Kim from watching her at Garnet Valley, where I was close to that program because of the people who were on staff there, the Reedies, the Reedy family. Danielle was the lead instructor there, and her dad I've known for a long time as well. So I spent a lot of time around that program and got to know her and some of the other fine people there. So let's go inside the shot and look at some photos from Kim. We're just going to start with a photo from high school, and if we had to pick just one photo from high school, it would have to be from the Neverland show, the Finding Neverland show. And that photo was one I had to kind of fix some things in the background and stuff like that to make it really kind of stand out. But I've always loved that photo as being kind of representative of the story that show was about. Talk about what it was like to be part of that program and about that show. It was junior year, so you were kind of a star of that show. What was that like to be part of that program?
Oh, that was a very good year. So when I was in high school, we had a bit of a class gap. There were no seniors, so when I was a junior, me and then the two other in the trio were kind of the seniors. And me and the Michael who played Peter Pan had just come off from our first summer at drum corps, so we had just really started to learn about like the types of instruction and having more color guard experience. So we were a bit more like prepared to be in these like kind of big performer situations. I love the story-driven shows. I honestly think that's why I went to AMP after I left high school, because of the similarity in how both those programs love their story-driven shows. Mm-hmm. I just think they're so much fun to perform. I think performance is all about being something else, and getting to be a character is just, there's nothing like it, And I'm a very feminine person, so getting to play a character like Tinkerbell or like the female protag was so much fun for me. I love being able to dance, and I love being able to use our big like fairy swing flags we had. It was just an enjoying time, and I'm very happy to have been able to be a part of that show at that specific time, like moment in time.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at our next photo. All right, so one of the things that you usually do if you see me on the sideline before the show starts is you wave to me, and so I usually try to be ready to capture that moment. I don't always get it, but I've got quite a few photos like that from you over the years. And so that was one. You're in Westchester. The thing with the Westchester program is that, so many of the kids from this area go there, so there's so many familiar faces, and you wanted to be sure I knew you were out there, I think. So talk about what it was like, what it's been like to be part of the Westchester Color Guard. So quite an amazing program they've had there over the years.
Yes, so that picture was taken around my sophomore year of Westchester, so I had been a part of the program already. I had fell in love the second I joined. I loved my freshman year show so much. I loved the atmosphere. I loved being in part of an incomparable group of people, both just with the people on the staff as well. I really like the diverse type of instruction given to me by my staff members at Westchester. That show in particular was a very fun season, mostly because of the build-up. At the end of the season, we performed at BOA at Grand Nationals in Indiana, and that was just so much fun. Since I had been in Lucas Oil before, it wasn't necessarily a new thing for me in that way, but it was still different to be there in that type of environment for something else, and to be with such a large group of people. We have about over 300 people in the Westchester Marching Band, which is pretty abnormal for most marching band sizes. So being able to be in such a big arena with that many performers besides me was incredible.
All right, let's take a look at what we have as our next photo. All right, so this is from year 2019, I guess, that you were with Caballeros, and There were quite a few moments that I was able to capture you out there. There's the moment where you were being lifted up by two other guard members on a I guess a rifle or a stick or something like that, and brought forward. And then there was a moment where you were doing some dance and stuff in the back and happened to catch this moment of you up in the air. So this is a photo you picked, and so why don't you tell us a little bit about why you picked that particular photo to represent that year?
So I actually pulled a hole at Cabs that summer, and I specifically picked that photo because I knew if I knew that I was going to be an interview talking about my marching career, I had to talk about Cabs. There is nothing like the Hawthorne Caballeros. There truly isn't. And I just think the summer that I had with them is hands down one of my favorite summers ever. It has such a special moment to my heart. I picked that moment because that was one of my favorite parts of the show. I loved our drum break. I loved how much fun we had. I loved how they just wanted us to perform and just be our best and just do our best. And I loved the dance line. Our tech, Laura, was incredible, both as an instructor and as a person. And I love the solidarity I had with the rest of the color guard. For that specific drum break, it was split up into we were all split up into four. It was dancers, flags, rifles, and sabers. Mm-hmm. So we're all in our own groups, but even though we were not still groups, we were still very connected throughout the show. And that part in particular was also the hardest part of the show for us. It was closer to the end. There was a lot of running, a lot of jumping. And I remember when it got rough, that was a part of the show we used to cheer each other up. And that's the part where we would yell and be like, yeah, we got this. And I have never felt that connection with a group of people before. Because I truly, truly love performing that part. And I truly love performing that show more than anything. And I think one of the saddest moments of this whole pandemic and how color guard is kind of being on hold is that Cabs is on hold for me, because I love the Caballeros so much. I am truly so happy that I was able to join them last summer, and I cannot wait to see what we do in the future, specifically color guard wise. And just dance line, best line, always.
Okay. All right, and I guess we have one more photo to take a look at here. So this year, the indoor season, 2020 season, you were with the AMP Open, and you had quite a lot of features in that show. It was a lot of fun for me to photograph that show, and not just yourself, but other people out there that I knew, and but to see you in a feature role, which you hadn't really been much since high school, was great. You seemed to feel really comfortable out there and having a good time. So unfortunately, that season didn't last very long, but I think you made the most of what you had there. So talk to us a little bit about the AMP program and about this 2020 season.
Yes, so I had been familiar with AMP since I marched AMP World prior in 2018, and I decided to take a little bit break from color guard. And when I went to go back, I decided that I actually wanted to improve on my weapon training, specifically with the open team. I really wanted to try something different and really just kind of branch out. And I had no clue what I was expecting. I had no clue what I was getting myself into. When I went to auditions, I was like, I really just want to get better. Weapon particularly. We started to learn more about it, and they mentioned this female character. I didn't think it was going to be me. To be honest, there was a little bit of hope, because you always hope to be featured. And I remember when we first started doing it, I remember when we first started learning the show and I started to be put in these big features, I was like, oh, I guess, I really need to step up to the plate, because this was not something that I really thought was going to be my future. As the season went on, I was definitely challenged more and more, which is what I loved. Something that I love about Cabs and AMP particularly is every weekend, we get pushed more. And it doesn't get easier, not in a bad way, but more so every weekend we go, we get better every weekend. And if we get better at the show, then the show gets harder to help push us more. And that's what I love. I love being challenged. I love being pushed. I loved being the best performer I possibly could be.
As you look to your future in color guard, what are you expecting is going to be coming up for you?
It looks like I'm going to be going back into teaching still, but I'm not done marching though. I plan on marching AMP Open until my age out, and I also plan on being at Cabs until I can no longer take it. I think I found a home with Cabs and AMP a lot. I love the people there. I adore the staff, and I just think that there's nowhere that's gonna push me like AMP and CABS does in a way that I want to. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, well, it's great to hear that you're going to be giving back to the activity as a instructor and continue to be out on the field and performing. So I'm looking forward to catching some more moments with you. It's been a pleasure having you here, Kim. So thank you for coming inside the shop.
Thank you. And I'll never forget when he first tagged me in something on Facebook, because I was like, oh my God, I felt like a celebrity. Like, I felt so cool. I remember going to school next day and being like, nobody in my class knows how cool I am. Like, it was such a cool moment. And the older I got and the more I saw Chris and the more like he was complimenting me and stuff, I really started to feel like a good performer. I think it was such a cool connection, especially because like he has taken pictures of me of such like great moments, specifically at CABS and AMP, that I definitely treasure. And I cannot wait to see the pictures he takes in the future. And that's a wrap for Inside the Shot with Chris Marr.